computer.
Oh yeah, let me see. Okay, cool.
All
All right.
right. Hey there, y'all. Welcome to the Money Club. My name is Lisa Duke. I'm a financial coach, and I help people get out of debt, get on track for financial independence by helping them improve their relationship with money. Today, our guest is Andy Wang. Andy is a managing partner at Runnymede Capital Management and host of Inspired Money, named by Forbes as a top 10 personal finance podcast. He's been named among the INVESTOPEDIA 100 most influential advisors, top 100 most social financial advisors by Brightscope, and has appeared on Reuters TV, Barron's, and Forbes. Andy, welcome to the clubhouse.
And now I'm at the clubhouse. Thanks for having me.
Yay! So before we get into your money story, just as we were getting ready to start recording, you were telling me a really interesting story about the name of the firm. Are you willing to share that? Now that I've put you on the spot, I guess you have to.
Well, my day job is as a fee-only financial advisor. It is definitely a family business. I joined my dad over 20 years ago. He founded Runnymede Capital, which I have a sign here over my shoulder. He founded the company about 25 years ago. And the name came from two things. People always ask me, where did the company name come from? And that's always fun, right? Trying to understand, like, what was the inspiration behind a company name? I always have two answers. One is the historical motivation, which Runnymede, England is the location where the Magna Carta was signed. So the precursor to our Bill of Rights here in the United States, right? Giving us liberties, giving citizens liberties. But the practical reason is that I live on Runnymede Road in New Jersey. And when my dad started the company, he had come out of a big bank. He was working at the Bank of New York, where he spent most of his career. He was director of research there for about 10 years, and then for another 10 years, he was president of their money management subsidiary. So he was managing the bank's pension fund as well as outside clients. And the bank, because they named their subsidiary Beacon Capital, Beacon is a very common name. And the bank lawyers would always have to defend their trademark, right? Ask these other Beacon Capitals and say, hey, we've been here already since 1980. You need to change your name. So when my dad struck out on his own, hung up his own sign, and started his own business, he said, I don't have time to do an extensive name search. So we are one of many companies, and there are many in the investment business whose name was inspired by the street name of the founder.
Oh,
and
that's
I actually
interesting.
still live in this house. So I bought the house from my dad. So when people come to my house, they're like, oh, you live on Runnymede Road? That's so weird. Isn't that the name of your company?
Like, wow, they named your whole street after your company? Like,
Exactly.
something like that.
Right, exactly. I should just say yes. Whatever.
Yes, they had to change the name because we just got so famous. All right, fantastic. Well, Andy, tell us a money story.
Well, you asked me for a money story going back to when I was young. And I think that's a really good place to start, right? Because it's like your formative years, and you and I both agree that people generally don't talk enough about money, which poses all kinds of problems later in life because you need to pay attention. You can't ignore it and pretend that it's going to take care of itself. And sadly, we don't get enough of this in school. So when I was a kid, I don't know why, thinking back, I don't know if it was being industrious or wanting to work. I never really thought about this, but here in New Jersey, you can't get a job as a kid until you're 15, and you have to get working papers, right? Because you're under 18 and you have to get papers from the state with your age, and you have to have your parent or guardian sign it. And that's what I did. I told my parents that I want to work at the tennis club. I did have a friend who had done this already, so he paved the way for me. And he was working at a tennis club, same owner, but different location. He was working at one near his house, and then he told me, oh, this is great, it's easy. You just answer the phone, you wash towels, there's a little pro shop, so you do a little retail, you can help sell people their tennis grip or a can of tennis balls or apparel. So I did that. So first job, right? 15 years old, and I'm going to date myself. I do have more gray hair here every day. I was getting paid $4 an hour.
Ooh, yeah.
And I think each year it would like get bumped up a quarter or something. So by the time I was like graduating high school, it's like, you are now making, I think I was making $5 an hour.
Yeah. Of course, you could buy a car for like $12, right? Oh, wait, you're not that old.
Yeah, no horse and buggy. Although my kids, they're like, did you have horse and buggy when you were young? I'm like,
Oh,
no, I'm not that old. So, I mean, those are just really good lessons because I was kind of, when you're that age, I don't know, kids these days, they seem to know so much because they grow up with iPhones and iPads and they're just exposed to a lot. But I feel like I grew up in a simpler time, so just working in this little tennis club and assigning people to courts, just starting, I was clueless. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. So it was just a good learning opportunity. And $4 an hour felt pretty good because this was all like income for myself. You know, I was fortunate to be living in a household that it's not like we had a shortage of money and that I had to go to work. I don't know what motivated me to want to do this, but I did. I got that job, and then I was always just saving that money. So I had, like, by the time I went to college, I could, you know, buy some pizza or something. Now, the second part of this is that, you know, it's one thing to be making $4 an hour, and that's very limited hours, right? Because I was working like after school. So I'd be working a shift from like 5 o'clock to 9 or something like that, maybe once a week. So not a lot. At the same time, the same friend of mine, he was working at the other club. I was working at the one close to my house. He and I both played tennis. We were buddies playing tennis like all summer long. And then this was like a job that we could have during the school year and through the winter. We decided that we should string our own tennis rackets. And back in the day, there were always advertisements in the back of Tennis Magazine, like a Clipper Mate tennis stringer for $149, which back then seemed like a lot of money.
Yeah, at $4 an hour, it takes a while to save up for.
That's right. So he and I split the cost of this tennis racket stringer. We're like, we're going to go half-half. And the beauty was, and like the eye-opening experience was that by saving the money and then splitting the cost and share, like we would share this tennis racket stringer, it would split time between our homes. Suddenly, when we're stringing rackets, we're like entrepreneurs now. We're making like $20 an hour because you can string one racket in an hour and, you know, maybe charge $25. The cost of a new set of strings was $5. So for our time, $20. Like, we could like 5x our money.
Wow. So you learned really early on the benefits of sort of owning the means of, I feel like a socialist over here, right? Owning the means of production, but really like investing in that piece of equipment was a risk because you might not have gotten any clients, but you already had access to people who were using tennis rackets. So you had presumably a good chance of getting some clients. You invest in this piece of equipment and now all of a sudden you're making in an hour what it used to take you 5 hours to do.
That's right.
Yeah. What did you take away from that? What kind of lessons?
For us, it was just fun. I mean, we were kids, right? And this was like pre-internet, pre-Vistaprint. We actually went to a local print shop. I don't know how much we spent. We probably spent $100 on getting business cards.
Yeah. Yeah, because you
With,
can't buy 10 business cards when you go to a print shop. It's like, oh, you want 40,000 business cards, right? You're like, is that the minimum?
Luckily, I think they still did small runs, but it wasn't like, you know, dirt cheap. And I'm sure it required more, right? Because it's not like you had a personal computer and you could just hit print. So yeah, we had like custom tennis racket stringing with our phone numbers on there, and we would post that up on the bulletin board at the, tennis courts where we played, and it was good. I mean, we learned that making the investment for the equipment and then calculating, oh, we only need to string like 8 to 10 rackets before we pay off, right? That covers the cost of the stringer. And then the rest for us is like profit. And like, even if we had no customers, we're going to use this for ourselves. We're saving money each time because we don't have to go to the pro shop and spend like $30 to have our racket strung. We're just paying $5 for a set of strings, and then we learned how to do it ourselves.
Yeah, so basically 2 or 3 personal uses each, you would have broken even on the equipment. So it's not like, even if you'd gotten 0 clients, it wouldn't have been a total loss. But then because you were already around people that were playing tennis, had tennis rackets, you had some easy prospects there.
Yeah, so we learned a lot. I mean, we learned about what tension you should be stringing your racket. We got better at it because the more rackets we strung, the faster we could do it. And then you learn just basic things like customer service and calling people back and follow-up. So it was a lot of good lessons, I think, and fun doing it while we were at it.
Yeah. How much was your dad kind of or maybe your business partner's dad advising you? Did you guys just sort of instinctively know, oh, somebody called me, I should call them back? Or did somebody have to point that out to you, or how did you figure it out?
It's really, that's what's interesting. I mean, I feel like as a parent now, I'd be like trying to encourage my kids, like, why don't you do this? Or trying to plant that seed, right? Like, ultimately, they're going to make their own decision. They're not going to listen to mom and dad oftentimes. But I don't think neither of our parents, my friend and I don't think our parents were really involved in this. Somehow, maybe it's just like we were like products of our surroundings. And because we were working at a tennis club and we saw that, people needed rackets strung, we were playing tennis and needed our rackets strung. So we just kind of figured it out. And maybe we spent a lot of time reading Tennis Magazine. So those advertisements worked.
They at least sold a lot of tennis racket stringers back in the day, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of wild. I mean, at one point, like occasionally there would be like a professional tournament that would come through town. Or, we're not that far from New York City, so we would go to the US Open and watch professionals play.
Oh, wow.
But at one local tournament, somehow I didn't go, but my friend went. And then there was like, some exhibitors there. And there was this funky racket that had this unusual string pattern. Like instead of, there are strings going up and down and strings going across. Somehow this racket company had like octagons. They had like up and down, sideways, and then diagonal too, with some theory that that's supposed to be more effective for getting spin or doing something. And my buddy gave them our fancy business card. And for like a little while, they were like, oh, you guys will be like an authorized stringer of our rackets. So they gave us like a free racket to try out. And my friend and I were like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Do you think any of that experience came over into your business and how you run it today?
I think loosely, yeah. I mean, just, those lessons about servicing customers and, trying to have a good turnaround time, right? We get somebody's racket, we're not sitting on it for a week. It's like we do it in like a day or two later. We're returning it to them and getting paid. So yeah, it was all about like managing a client's expectations and trying to do some marketing. A lot of lessons.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have you stayed in touch with that friend? Do you know what he does now?
He's a trauma surgeon now.
Oh, wow.
He like works in the ER.
So he's still stringing things up. It's just not tennis rackets anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, the dexterity that he developed stringing tennis rackets, probably he still uses to this day, but he's saving lives now.
There you go.
Not so much.
Yeah. It all started with the job at the At the country club then, huh? That's crazy. Wow. All right,
Yeah,
fantastic.
going
That was
well.
a great story. So thank you, Andrew, so much for Andy, whichever you prefer.
I
Um,
go by both.
okay, perfect. Thank you so much for coming to play money with me and my viewers. And like you said at the beginning, I think the more we get comfortable talking to each other, all of us, about financial topics, the more normal and natural those conversations will be, the easier it will be for us to get help and to share our knowledge, and just the better off and more financially comfortable I think we all will be. So
Absolutely.
how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you do for clients and how you can help them?
Well, thank you for having me. This is great. People can go to runnymede.com. You can see
Mm-hmm,
how to spell it up here,
mm-hmm,
RUNNYMEDE.com. We do financial planning. We do managing of investments for clients. We do retirement planning. And then I absolutely like talking about money because my podcast is Inspired Money. And similar to what you're doing,
mm-hmm,
I try interviewing different guests to have like a positive light.
mm-hmm.
Like try to capture people's inspiring stories with the same idea that you're trying to do with your program, which is encourage people to think about money,
Mm-hmm.
normalize talking about money, in hopes that that will, really motivate people to actually look at their 401k plan or to look at their savings and to set a goal. Because too often our money ends up on the back burner because life gets in the way, right?
Yep.
We get busy. We've got our
Yep.
job, we've got responsibilities at home, and it's very easy to say, I'll look at my investments tomorrow. But because your money has two best friends, time and the power of compounding, the earlier you start, the better. So let's talk about money and let's address our money so that we'll have fewer surprises in the future, right? You want to have some
Absolutely.
kind of plan.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. All right. And for those viewers who are not quite ready to talk about investing but still want to improve their relationship with money, I would invite you all to join my free Facebook group. The shortcut link is just lisaduke.net/money club, or you can go to to Facebook and search for Money Club with Lisa Duke. From there, I go live every Monday at 6 p.m., talk about a money topic. And don't forget, while you are here on YouTube, to subscribe to my channel. Click on the bell to get notified when I drop the next video. And again, Andy, thank you so much and welcome to the club.
Thanks, Lisa. I look forward to checking out the Facebook group.
All right, see you there.
Thanks so much.